Welcome to the Energy Star Multifamily New Construction Program online orientation for functional testing agents tasked with completing the functional testing checklist. In this orientation, we will begin with a brief overview of the Energy Star Multifamily New Construction Program, including the types of buildings that are eligible and the implementation timeline of this program. While we won't spend much time on them, we'll briefly mention the other three program documents that are related to the HVAC system that will be subject to functional testing, but are documents to be completed by the rater and the HVAC designer, and are not the responsibility of the functional testing agent. We will then discuss the functional testing checklist, including the required credentials of the individuals completing it, what systems it covers, and examples of the types of tests and inspections required. You may find it helpful to have a copy of the functional testing checklist open during this orientation. So to begin, the Energy Star Residential Branch oversees two new construction building certification programs. The Certified Homes Program serves single-family homes such as detached homes, two-family dwellings such as side-by-side duplexes or one-over-ones, and townhomes. The Multifamily Program serves most other attached housing, including townhomes with some modified requirements and mixed-use buildings if more than 50% is residential. While residential in nature, the Energy Star Multifamily Program does not certify units in hotels, dorms, skilled nursing, or assisted living facilities. Those property types are served by Energy Star's commercial branch. This decision tree is located on our website and more easily assists program partners in determining which Energy Star new construction program is the right one for their building. Since you are seeking to be listed in our online directory of functional testing agents, we'll assume your project has already determined that the right fit is the Energy Star Multifamily New Construction Program. If you've previously supported projects through the Certified Homes Program or the Multifamily High-Rise Program, you may not be familiar with the Multifamily New Construction Program. It was developed in 2018 to provide a more streamlined option for multifamily projects. It was launched in early 2019 and made available for optional use during a 2-year transition period. While projects may still certify through the Certified Homes or Multifamily High-Rise Program if they are permitted before 2021, buildings with permit dates after January 1st, 2021 will only be allowed to certify their units through the Multifamily New Construction Program. The Energy Star Multifamily New Construction Program has 3 key components: a performance target, mandatory features, and verification. Since achieving the performance target is not part of the scope of the functional testing agent, we'll start with the mandatory features. These 5 program documents contain the mandatory requirements that are verified during the design, construction, and as-built stages of the project. While this orientation will focus on the functional testing checklist, we'll first quickly mention some items related to HVAC systems that appear in the other checklists. In an effort to ensure right-size systems in the common areas and dwelling units, at the design stage, the HVAC designer is responsible to use the HVAC design report to document ventilation design rates, apartment and building load calculations, system selection and sizing, as well as components related to distribution, whether hydronic or forced air. When that report that covers the entire project is completed, it is provided to both the rater and the functional testing agent. The rater uses that HVAC design report when completing the rater design review checklist. While this checklist is the rater's responsibility and not the scope of the functional testing agent, it is somewhat useful to understand what aspects of the HVAC design was reviewed by the rater during the design stage. There are 10 items that the rater reviews that impact how the design loads for the dwelling units were calculated. The rater reviews these items to ensure they are within the ranges permitted in the Energy Star program. When they are not, the rater works with the HVAC designer until they have been corrected. During construction, the rater is also responsible for conducting site visits to verify the presence of the mandatory items in the rater field checklist. The ones related to HVAC systems are in Section 5 of this checklist and include inspections to verify that the installed equipment matches what was specified in the design, that thermostats are installed in the dwelling units, and a variety of items that may not be applicable to each project, such as checking for minimum rated equipment efficiencies, testing external stack pressures, verifying that motorized dampers are installed and actually close smoke vents in stairwells and elevators, and where freeze protection systems are in place, verifying their temperature controls limit their operation as required by the Energy Star program. Additionally, the rater inspects and tests a handful of other items related to the duct installation, ventilation airflow rates, and mandatory items related to domestic hot water systems. Again, while these 4 slides have indicated mandatory items related to HVAC that are not the responsibility of the functional testing agent, they hopefully provide you with some useful context. So let's dive into the program step where you, the functional testing agent, will get involved. The HVAC Functional Testing Checklist is a 5-page document with 9 sections and 7 important footnotes located on the last page. Let's first review the contents of the gray box at the top of page 1, which says HVAC Functional Testing Responsibilities. The first bullet in that section provides a list of approved credentials. In order to complete the checklist or sections of the checklist, the functional testing agent, or FT agent, must have at least one of these credentials. If the FT agent is a contractor that is credentialed by an HVAC Quality Installation Training and Oversight Organization, or HQITO, they should note that they are only permitted to complete sections 1 through 5 of this checklist. To complete the other sections, they would also need one of the other listed credentials. Also, there's an important footnote in this bullet. Functional testing agents may not be the installing contractor unless they are a credentialed contractor, even if they have one of these other listed credentials. The second bullet in this section explains how multiple functional testing agents may be needed for one project in order to complete all the relevant sections. In that event, you simply complete the sections that are within your scope, sign, and provide to the rater. The rater will then collect the other checklists from the other functional testing agents until all systems in the project have been functionally tested by a credentialed agent. The third bullet in this section clarifies which systems are within the scope of the functional testing agent. In mixed-use buildings, these checklist items are not required for systems that only serve commercial spaces. If there is a central system that serves the whole building, including retail, it is subject to the checklist requirements. This bullet also explicitly states that sampling is not permitted, and each system is subject to the checklist requirements. The fourth and final bullet in this gray section indicates that the documents shall be retained by the functional testing agent for quality assurance purposes, and they should provide completed and signed checklists to the builder or developer as well as the rater. The project cannot complete its Energy Star certification without this completed checklist. The one exception is for the contractors credentialed by an HQITO. They are not required to deliver the completed checklist to the rater, but should do so if requested. As mentioned, the checklist has 9 sections. For all projects, section 1 is always completed. The remaining sections will be completed only if those system types are present in the building. Let's quickly review each section. In section 1, provide your contact information. If there are multiple functional testing agents serving the same project, they will each submit a checklist and use their contact information here, while items 1.3 and 1.4 will stay the same across all the checklists. The refrigerant charge items in section 2 must be completed for split air conditioners, unitary air conditioners, air source heat pumps, geothermal or water loop heat pumps up to 65,000 BTUs per hour of capacity if they have any amount of ductwork, and whether they serve dwelling units or other common spaces in the building. The significant exemption is for ducted mini-split or multi-split systems, which we'll define on the next slide. There is an important cold weather alternative described in footnote 4, which enables projects with TXVs to not complete this section when the outdoor air temperature is too low. This is a footnote that provides Energy Star's distinction between mini-split and multi-split systems. In general, the mini-split is a 1-to-1 configuration, whereas the multi-split is one outdoor unit to many indoor units, which may serve one or more dwelling units. While exempt from the requirements in Section 2, refrigerant charge testing of multi-splits is addressed later in Section 6. If you've determined that you need to complete this section, there are 16 items with various temperatures and pressures that you will need to document in the fields shown. If you have been participating in the Certified Homes program, these are the same items on the HVAC commissioning checklist. Moving on to Section 3, we again read the fine print in the gray header bar to confirm which specific systems are required to have this section completed. Basically, like Section 2, we're still talking about the majority of ducted forced air systems associated with typical residential-sized equipment, even if they happen to be serving a common area. Like Section 2, the exemption for mini-splits still applies. Whether they have ducts or not, this section does not apply to them. But unlike that section, there isn't an exemption for multi-splits. So if you determine the system qualifies, these are the 8 items that need to be verified. You will need the HVAC design report we mentioned earlier in order to do so, as items 3.1, 3.6, and 3.8 rely on information found in item 5.2 of that report. Section 4 is not a section that is required to be completed. If you do complete it, you will again need the HVAC design report we mentioned earlier for the room-by-room design flows, and you would just attach a copy of the balancing report. Section 5 is the only section where a rater or functional testing agent is permitted to verify the items. These include a few installation checks and functional testing items to confirm basic operation of the indoor units. Sections 6 through 9 are specific to certain system types. As mentioned earlier, Section 6 has the requirements related to refrigerant charge testing for multi-splits or VRF systems, along with other general functional tests. Footnote 7 provides instructions related to the minimum number of indoor units to bring online when manually testing the heating or cooling modes. Section 7 has 8 installation checks related to central boilers and 10 items to confirm that they function as designed. In addition, there are 4 items related to the circulating pumps associated with those central boilers. Similar to the boilers, there is a section for cooling towers that begins with a handful of installation checks, followed by items to confirm basic operation of the tower fans and pumps. The last section covers chillers in a similar fashion, starting with installation checks and then functional testing of the chillers and the associated pumps. That concludes the functional testing agent orientation. We hope you have a better understanding of the multifamily new construction program and how functional testing agents play an important part in certifying multifamily buildings in this program by completing the functional testing checklist. If you have any questions, please email us at the address shown, EnergyStarHomes@EnergyStar.gov. You will soon be listed in our online directory as a functional testing agent that is able to participate in this program. Thank you for your interest in the Energy Star Multifamily New Construction Program and for your attention during this orientation.